What's going on, Browns fans? Welcome into the Cleveland Browns Report by Chat Sports. Matthew Peterson here, telling you guys first and foremost about our awesome sponsor today, HexClad. They've got an awesome deal for the dog pound, 10% off. You can get the best pots and pans in the cookware industry when you use our link, hexclad.com/chat, along with promo code CHAT. We'll tell you more about their great info later on, but check it out. The link's in the comments and the description of today's show. Now, we have some minicamp takeaways with everyone in attendance. The whole gang's there. Myles Garrett, Joel Bitonio, David Njoku, Nick Chubb. Some notable names that were not at the voluntary workouts are at minicamp. And basically, the whole entire star of the show was this guy, Deshaun Watson. He looked the best that we have ever seen him. Now, I understand he's going up against a non-padded defense, and there's no pass rush in 7-on-7s. But frankly, I don't give a damn, right? We have been waiting for this for, I don't know, almost 24 years since 99, a consistent and high-level quarterback. And for the first real time, it really does feel like that is around the corner, which, listen, we've all said that before, but this time it feels different, okay? By all accounts, by all reports, Deshaun Watson and the offense looked just terrific, looked amazing, looked spectacular. That was just the whole buzz in Berea. Not a single person exited the minicamp today thinking, that offense was just a little bit out of rhythm, just a little bit out of sync. No. Amari Cooper, in his interview later on, said, yeah, I can see why Watson needed some time to not just, shake the rust off, but get back into a rhythm. And I don't know about you guys, but I got drunk watching the 15, 20-second clips on Twitter of Watson just spraying the ball across the red zone, going touchdown after touchdown after touchdown. So this offense, ladies and gentlemen, is not going to be like an offense Browns fans have ever seen before. I'm not afraid to be cold takes, old takes exposed later on. And if you're with me, like today's video, and I want to get to 497 likes specifically, because last year, the Kansas City Chiefs scored more points than any other team in the NFL, putting up 496 points. The Browns offense, ladies and gentlemen, is going to beat that. I know, it's early, it is ambitious, but I don't give a shit. Let's go, Brownies. Hit that thumbs up button if you're ready to see the best Browns offense Cleveland has ever seen in 2023. Amari Cooper, like I said earlier, spoke to the media, and a lot to take away from it. But I like this one quote where he said, it's not a level playing field out there for them, so it should look like that every time. Talking about the defense on 7-on-7s, and Amari Cooper hit the nail on the head. There's no pass rush, right? It is pitch and catch. So if you don't have a timer on the quarterback to throw the football, eventually someone's going to get open. And that's how it should be, right? It's very concerning when offenses can't have success when there's no pass rush. Sure, you can go a flip side, right, and go spin zone. That means the defense is super good. You know what? Defense can be super good, but if the offense can't put up a touchdown or two, you're not going to win a lot of games. So this is great to see because a lot of times people, take hills and make mountains out of them. They take an inch and they stretch it a mile during OTAs, training camp, minicamp, and whatnot. But if an offense is seriously struggling, that could be a legitimate sign for concern. For Cleveland, that does not seem to be the case here. The Browns offense is not struggling, and they should not because there's no pass rush on 7-on-7s, which we all know, previous minicamps and whatnot, we have seen the offense stutter and struggle early on despite it being 7-on-7s. That is not the case. Now, I've got a lot to cover on today's show. I want to start with this right here, though, in terms of giving shout-outs to individuals. So Zach Jackson tweeted out, Donovan Peoples-Jones in practice today, 29 catches, 477 yards, and 17 touchdowns. That's just how prolific DPJ looked in practice. Clearly, he's heard the buzz on, hey, if they go get Hopkins, maybe DPJ's on the move. And he gave Andrew Berry a message loud and clear. I can be a top-tier wide receiver. I can be a 1,000-yard guy. You don't have to go and sign someone else and move on from me. Now, more from Zach Jackson I thought you guys should see. The two early practice on 7-on-7 periods were the two best Watson has had on these practice fields. Probably by a lot. DPJ caught a bunch of them. Everything seems to run smoother with Cooper out there, and throws were on the mark. I understand it's just minicamp, and all 32 teams' fan bases do this, where they get super pumped up on some highlights with no real defense being played. But I don't care. I'm here for it. This fan base has not seen a consistent offense for more than just a little bit of a stretch in a long, long time. So for that reason, I'm all in. I don't give a damn. Elijah Moore's lining up in the backfield. Hook it to my veins right there. This is how fun it's going to be in 2023. The Browns offense is going to be rolling. It is going to be one of the best in the AFC. Now, speaking of the best, today's sponsor, HexClad, has so many great deals for the dog pound, but I want to start today's sponsor read off with a personal anecdote. So I think it's pretty clear that, yes, I like to dine out and get takeout, but when you get started with HexClad, you're going to see that one of the biggest struggles or concerns with cooking in is the cleanup afterwards. That is not the case with HexClad, right? They have revolutionized the cookware industry with their hybrid pan that gives you all the convenience and cleanup of non-stick, along with the versatility of a cast iron and a lifetime warranty to go along with it. So now, go to hexclad.com/chat. They're going to give you 10% off when you use the promo code chat along with it. Now, if you don't believe me, you don't want to trust a skinny chef, which I wish I could call myself that. How about Gordon Ramsay, my favorite chef all time? He said this: "The sear I get with these pans is incredible. With absolutely no stick, the temperature control is utter perfection, and the cleanup is effortless. I love using HexClad at home." So, they're the sexiest pans on the market. You can score some points at home. Stop ordering delivery food, right? Start saving some money. Start eating better. But also do it without having a huge headache in your sink with a bunch of dirty dishes and whatnot. Thanks to HexClad, you can get 10% off when you go to hexclad.com/chat. That is HEXCLAD.com/chat. Promo code chat. They've got the best pots and pans in the biz. All the information you need is in the comments and the description of today's video. The biggest story out of Berea today from the first of, 3-4 days of minicamp was Deshaun Watson, right? And that has to be the case. They gave up a lot for him, and last year, he was simply put underwhelming. I'm not concerned about a 6-game stretch and what appears to be a punted season by the Browns, kind of looking back at it now, but I've got high expectations for 2023. These are my projected stats. It's so stupid when we do these as fans, but at the same time, we all like to do it deep down inside of us. 69, nice completion percentage, 4,400 yards. When he led the NFL in passing, he threw for just a little bit over 4,800. So I don't know if he's going to get all the way up there in his first true year one with the Browns, starting all 17 games. 30 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. So if you believe Deshaun Watson is going to ball out, he is going to prove all the haters and the doubters wrong. That for those of us that live on Browns Twitter have to deal with all the time, all the naysayers, all the negative Nancy's out there that think the Browns are going to suck. I don't want you to put 4 in the comment section. I want you to spam 4 until your fingers bleed, because I want this city on its feet, and I want this city watching a good product at Cleveland Browns Stadium for the first time in a very long time. And exhale. All right, Myles Garrett. Let's talk about 95. So he was in attendance for the minicamp, which is mandatory, after skipping the voluntary OTAs that got a lot of people very worked up. Now, I thought an interesting note that we'll expand on later was that he was seen lining up opposite of Obo Okoronkwo with Za'Darius Smith sort of kicked inside. So the Browns getting their best 4 defensive linemen on the field at the same time. He spoke to the media afterwards, and I always listen, when they do the live video thing on Twitter from the Browns Twitter account. And he did kind of mention, he still has some soreness from his toe injury, but he just kind of played it off nonchalant, saying, it's a big toe, I'm still going to get my sack. So I think that is something to kind of just mention, at least, so it's on your guys' radar. Now, when it comes to the first team defensive line, I think when it's 3rd and 8, and the Browns know that the opposing team is going to pass the ball, Myles Garrett, Za'Darius Smith, Dalvin Tomlinson, and Obo Okoronkwo are all going to be on the field. Now, maybe when it's 1st and 10 and Cleveland's kind of sensing a run, maybe they get that rotation going between Garrett, Smith, Okoronkwo, and whatnot. But when it's obvious passing situations, you're going to get your top 3 dogs, and Garrett, Smith, and Okoronkwo all on the field at the same time. Now, another question that was tossed Garrett's way was, hey, what can you kind of expect under Jim Schwartz? And, how are you going to, what does this mean for Myles Garrett individually and whatnot? And he was pretty aloof about it, as Browns players have been instructed to be under this new, well, not new, but the Stefanski regime. But he did talk about the one-on-one possibilities he's going to get. And for a player that's put up 32 sacks, think about that for a moment, 32 sacks the last 2 seasons, now that he's got hopefully a real, not Batman, not Robin, but a Dark Knight opposite of him, yeah, I think he can flourish and he can lead the NFL in sacks and get his first NFL Defensive Player of the Year award. We've got more little, crumbs to round up from the first day of minicamp, but we are closing in on 20,000 subscribers, so I invite all of you who have not subscribed to go ahead and do so. It's completely free. You're going to get the best off-season coverage because no one keeps up with your Brownies like we do here at Chat Sports. I didn't want to talk about DeAndre Hopkins today because I'm kind of feeling like we're about to hit that breaking point where it's like, all right, you beat this horse to death. Like, it's getting a bit boring now. Can we talk about something else? But every single media member tried to weasel DeAndre Hopkins into just about every question they asked, especially when Amari Cooper was at the podium. He was asked a ton about what, I think the first question he got asked was like, would you be mad if you got less receptions or less touches and targets if DeAndre Hopkins was added to this roster? And he gave a very good team-first answer saying, hey, if it helps the team win more games, I'm all about it. But there was a lot of D-Hop talk in Berea today, right? Amari Cooper was also asked about this, right, from Cameron Justice, Deshaun Watson wanting to get DeAndre Hopkins, and he said, who wouldn't? Like, I can see why maybe deep down these receivers are like, aren't we good enough without DeAndre Hopkins? Like, don't you guys think we're the real deal and we don't need to add more firepower? But I can respect Amari Cooper going, yeah, I can see why Deshaun Watson would want to add DeAndre Hopkins, who he had so much success with in Houston. And DeAndre Hopkins, as Amari Cooper put it, is one of the best receivers when it comes to his body placement and his hands. He is just the biggest target on the field. More from this subject I wanted to get to you guys. So 92.3 The Fan tweeted out, wide receiver Amari Cooper would invite addition if teams signed wide receiver DeAndre Hopkins. The more, the merrier. The more guys that can make plays, the more plays are going to be made. It's that simple. So I love Amari Cooper. He's always a team-first player. He's a, lead by example type of guy. He's not the loudest one in the room. But we saw last year he put up casually 1,000 yards when he said himself he was not at his 100% down the stretch last season. So with all that being said, the wide receivers clearly have taken notice of the DeAndre Hopkins buzz, and they made it their mission during minicamp to play the best they possibly can to make Andrew Berry's job that much more difficult, to show AB, you don't need to go get D-Hop. We've got a great wide receiver room as it is. Even if that's not actually the case, credit to DPJ, Elijah Moore, Amari Cooper, all these players who have balled out, and what as I understand, 7-on-7s, no real pass rush, but they can only control what's in front of them, and given the opportunity, they made the most of it to tell AB, no, don't get DeAndre Hopkins. Don't ship away one of us, most likely DPJ. So I can see why DPJ has the most to gain or lose from these minicamp practices. But still, credit to the wide receivers for, silencing people like me who want to go get DeAndre Hopkins, saying, we don't need another receiver. We've got all the great receivers we need here. Now, I want to know, what is your confidence level in this wide receiver room without DeAndre Hopkins? I saw this tweet yesterday from Ross Tucker, who said, we'll get to this next one in a moment, though, who said that the Browns need DeAndre Hopkins like the Jets need Aaron Rodgers. And I said, they don't need DeAndre Hopkins, right? It's a luxury for them to get DeAndre Hopkins. But they've got 3-4 great receivers right now already. They understand that the AFC is going to be a bloodbath, right? It's not going to be a cakewalk. So you should shoot for all the firepower you can get. But if they don't get DeAndre Hopkins, I don't think that's going to be something we look back on and go, that's where the Browns season started to go downhill, right? No, they've got a great wide receiver room. Now let's check out this tweet from Zach Jackson. Sorry, I threw producer text for a curveball there. Stefanski on the robbery incident. So some background here before I read the quote. Of course, I'm sure a lot of us know by now. I made a short on this. Feel free to go check it out. That unfortunately, Browns players have been the victims of, I don't know if they're really targeted attacks, but three's, I don't know, not really a coincidence anymore necessarily. Demetric Felton earlier this weekend had his car stolen from his garage. And then you had Greg Newsome and Perrion Winfrey Monday night / really Monday morning, 3:30 in the morning, leaving a nightclub, walking to the parking lot, and Winfrey and Newsome were held at gunpoint by 6 men in masks who stole some jewelry and left with Greg Newsome's truck. So, I mean, we know everyone's okay right now, but hopefully this run of crime against Browns players ends. And this is what Stefanski said. It's an active investigation, so I won't comment much. I'm glad our guys are okay. We want everybody to be safe. So, fingers crossed, knock on wood, the police can locate Greg Newsome's car and they can apprehend those responsible for this, but very glad to see no one got hurt in what could have been a seriously dangerous situation. Before we get on out of here, hit me up on Twitter. I'm always talking brownies over there, at Matthew Petey. The link's in the comments and the description of today's show. Now, you guys know how I like to end the episodes during the dog days of the off season, and it's pick a card time. So, producer McCullough, do you want to give us your card pick?
Yeah. Let me do the 9 of spades.
All right, Tex is going to go with the 9 of spades. Put me down for the 7 of diamonds. 7 of diamonds. One last cut. 5 of spades. 5 of spades. Yep. That's going to do it for us. We'll see everyone later.